Okay. Shh. Shh, 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 shh. Okay, let's restart. Right. Number of questions, of course, rise after talking about particular subjects, and most of those questions are really important to all of us. And one of the questions just now was, would somebody with different conditions be fully tolerant to zinc, to our zinc, etc.? And I said, well, the bottom line for anything is to test for tolerance, isn't it? So always test something for tolerance. If you're a muscle tester, then you test from strength to see if it weakens. Okay, very important. If you're looking for something which is therapeutic, you go from weakness to see if it strengthens. Okay? Now, I would suggest also that if you're working from weakness, you use the colored acetate or acetates that weaken the person. And the same thing, if you're working from strength, use the complementary colors. And as we've described in previous seminars, and I'll demonstrate in a minute, is you use the two. If the person shows the two acetates, then you use the two, and putting them around the umbilicus is a more potent effect than even over the eyes. Okay, so what we must do is to make sure if you're testing something for tolerance, is you always work from the complementary colors, okay? Strength to see if it weakens, okay? Don't just do it in the clear, put the complementary color on to make sure you've absorbed the weakening color so they're at their very best. Okay, now this is very different, the colors, from the neurological test. So it doesn't matter left brain, right brain, what side you're working on. This is more to do with the wavelength affecting the cellular structure. So it's much more to do with a constitution, genetic effect than it is a neurological one. Okay? So if you want to test something for tolerance, I don't know the answer to this, but I've never yet found anybody who has been sensitive or hypersensitive to the citrated zinc. But there always is going to be a first one somewhere. So always test something. Obviously, you don't prescribe something if it weakens them. Okay? The second, and this is really, really important, is you do not muscle test anything in mirror glass. Okay, mirror glass blocks. That's why it blocks things going in and it blocks things going out. And that's why products will remain intact much better with less preservatives in mirror glass. But it does, on the downside, mean that you cannot muscle test using the whole bottle. You've got to take it out of the bottle. You know, that's why they have graduated pipettes. If you get a product like the minerals or vitamins here, you'll see that there's a pipette. So not only do you get a nice bottle, but can I open that? No. Here's one that's already opened. All right. So as you open that, and that doesn't apply, this is the test to 30 ml, but all the 100 ml bottles have a pipette. Okay? And the pipette is graduated.
Sorry, Chris, I'm laughing. The story you told us last week about the
oh yeah, I'm going to tell them that now. Yeah. So what happens is it's graduated, and this is really important because we give you a graduated pipette with it, which patients are very pleased because they say how many drops, you know, is a drop, how many cc's and how many is a squirt. So we say, oh, take 4 squirts 3 times a day or whatever, but a squirt is not necessarily a squirt. It should be. So what we tell them is you squeeze the rubber, empty the pipette, squeeze the rubber with your thumb and your index, put it in, okay, let it go, and take it out. And it'll always draw up 0.7 mil or 10 drops in the 100 ml bottle, okay? Now in this bottle, it'll be a little less probably because the size of the rubber is smaller, okay? But you don't use this one, you know, for giving to patients. That one you do. So we had a complaint from a patient the other week. She said the pipettes don't work. So I said, oh, why is that? And she said, I don't know. She said, I put the pipette in. She said, follow what you said, empty, put it in, took it out, you see? And she said, there's only ever 1 drop in there. I said, oh. She said, I thought you said there were 10 drops in there. And I said, you squeeze it. Oh. So this is the advantage with the graduated pipette. You'll know there's always 0.7 mil or 10 drops. It's the same thing, okay? So when you say 4 squirts, you know that you're getting 3 mil.
Must be one of your patients.
It was one of my patients, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But also, Chris, would you consider, as kinesiologists, most of us here, when you're doing the tolerance test with the acetates on,
Yeah.
we could also check for hidden and overload as well?
Well, yeah, I think if you use the acetate, you are checking for all that tolerance. If a person, you know, is strong in the clear, sometimes they can be strong even with the complementary over the eyes, but then when you put it around here, they go weak. So it really does, highlight it as best that we know at the moment. Okay, but you must make sure, and I'm going to demonstrate this, that you do all the colours for both eyes, because sometimes you find there's two colours on one eye, and if you don't have that in, with the colours of complement, you may miss it. So sometimes people are a little bit of red or a little bit of blue, and then you miss those characteristics about them. Okay, so before we get to that, let's just do the more academic sort of bits to finish off. Now, this is a really, really complicated, or can be a really complicated subject, as what membranes and receptor sites are made from. And one of the most important structures around the receptor sites, main receptor site, are called gangliosides. Now, gangliosides are made from complexes called sphingolomyelins. Now, don't worry about trying to follow any of this, because I've done a lovely flowchart. So in the update and in the autumn, you'll get that as a laminate, all right? So everything is done for you there. So basically, palmitic acid is an unsaturated fatty acid, is a saturated fatty acid, carbon-16, with CoA, the B5, goes on to make sphingolomyelins, sphingosine. And then sphingosine plus more palmitic acid goes on to make ceramides and sphingolomyelin, which goes on to make gangliosides on the left and sulfatides. Now, the importance of this is the ceramides are then added with galactose and make galactosyl cerebroside, which is a quarter of myelin. So this is very important when we look for myelin. And then we add the active form of sulfur called PAPs to make sulfatides, which again is rich in myelin. So if you've got a demyelinating disease, you probably would go more along this pathway. So if you're interested in this, I'll try and get the laminate done as soon as possible. But it's really interesting here. You could actually work out where the problem exactly is in the myelin formation. But it's gangliosides I want to just talk briefly about at the moment. And there's three types, ganglioside 1, 2, and 3, or GM1, 2, and 3. And it's the one that we're mainly interested in at the moment. Now, the fatty acid in gangliosides may be palmitic, stearic, bohenic, or lignoceric, which are saturates, or a monounsaturated fatty acid such as nervonic acid. That's what the books describe, okay? Now, what we do now is probably this could be any unsaturated fatty acid, which is probably present in the oils that I talked about this morning. Now, ganglioside M1 is made of sphingosine, so there's a bit of palmitic, a bit of B5 and things in there, plus the fatty acid, okay? Plus glucose, plus galactose. Well, not many people are short of glucose, and not many people are short of galactose. N-acetyl neuraminic acid, which is again is a saccharide, plus N-acetyl galactosamine, again, which are saccharides, plus galactose. Plus, we've got the fatty acid here. So the question is, which fatty acid is it for this particular ganglioside? And this is where we come into the individual work, which I think is what's happening when we do the fatty acids with people, is that there's only one fatty acid with the person, which might be walnut, fatty acid present in walnut, might be in sesame seed, etc. I think we're stimulating the gangliosides for the following reasons. The level of gangliosides in myelin is low, but ganglioside GM1 prevails. Specific binding has been proven for many kinds of gangliosides. When administered parenterally, that's by injection, gangliosides circulate in the bloodstream continuously. They do not express any toxicity because they're natural substances. They pass through the blood-brain barrier and they incorporate themselves into neuron membranes. Okay, so that's all good stuff. Okay, ganglioside 1, and this is where the key really is, restores dopaminergic neurons after damage to the substantia nigra systems, enhancing uptake of dopamine and activity of tyrosine hydroxylase, which makes L-DOPA. Okay, it's beginning to get interesting, this. Okay, so it could be that a ganglioside, which is partly composed of the fatty acid, will help improve the dopamine uptake and things. Number 2, restores cholinergic neurons. These are the ones with acetylcholine after damage to the hippocampus. They know that long periods of high cortisol stress can damage the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is responsible for the recovery, the retrieval of the memory. Enhances activity of choline acetyltransferase. That's the one that makes acetylcholine from choline and acetylcholinesterase. Okay, so now we've got dopamine enhancement and acetylcholine. restores high affinity uptake of choline in the cortex after injuries to the forebrain. So these are very important after strokes and head injuries and things. Protects serotonin and noradrenergic neurons from neurotoxin-induced degeneration. Woo! Now we're really protecting the brain, aren't we? Diminishes cerebral edema and restores ionic balance after cerebral traumas, including strokes. So this stuff, or these compounds, are really, really important as far as brain chemistry with cerebral vascular accidents and things. Stimulates regeneration of the optic nerve. That sounds impressive if we can do something with that. And possibly restores melatonin uptake. So these are obviously really, really important ingredients. But we're not deficient in the sugars usually. It's the fatty acids which are the most common part of this. Complex structures that they are. So if I just go back to, you see ganglioside M3, GM3 is relatively simple, less sugars. Ganglioside 2, same structure here, fatty acid, plus, again, less sugars. But again, the common theme for all these is the fatty acid and the sphingosine. Okay, so we've got to have the right amount of the sphingosines which are developed from the palmitic acid and the CoA, but it's the fatty acid. And which fatty acid? And that's what the books don't tell you because it's individual. It has to be muscle tested for. Now, in the fatty acid kit, you've got, in that fatty acid kit, ganglioside M1, M2, and M3. And you will find that when people are degenerating, in other words, their degeneration is faster or outpacing their regeneration, they have a deficiency of GM1. And that's why I think you'll begin to find that, GM1 is deficient, and what stimulates GM1 is the fatty acid and probably the selenium, which is why people in the areas of the world where selenium is highest don't age in the same way, because they're being protected, maybe through the antioxidant, but also maybe it's allowing the gangliosides to be formed. So it's interesting, and it's a sort of part of brain chemistry which we need to do some more research into. Common neurological diseases which you might come across, or probably will. Multiple sclerosis. Definitely these are more red people, in my experience. And the common one is that they're low in acetylcholine. There is theory that they could be high in excitatory neurotransmitters. You got these in there, haven't you? Yeah. Okay, so here we would say low acetylcholine, possibly high glutamate. There is theory that they've burnt out in some way with the high glutamate. I don't know whether that's true, but they certainly are all low in acetylcholine. Parkinson's disease we know is low in dopamine, so they would be more on the conceptual vessel. My experience is that they're all blue, which may indicate that mercury could be involved as a toxin here. They always say in the world where there's pesticides, there's Parkinson's. In the world where you find there's no pesticides, which is not many places now, there is no Parkinson's. So there's a definite link between Parkinson's and the breakdown of pesticides and the blocking up of the production of dopamine. And we definitely, on the other side of the balance, got high acetylcholine, because as we get the dopamine, which gives the low dopamine, which gives the imbalance in the extrapyramidals, so we get the weakness on and on and off, and then gradually we get the contraction of the high acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junctions, so you get to that position where you've got the stiff gait and things and the rigidity. Motor neuron disease undoubtedly has high glutamate. I think everybody agrees on that. And high glutamate means high excitation, which means they're burning themselves out. What it is, we don't know, okay? But we know that it's manifested through those particular brain chemicals, and we know that those brain chemicals can be registered from the meridian points. So high glutamate would be circulation sacs, low dopamine would be the conception vessel, high acetylcholine would be the liver, and low acetylcholine would be the gallbladder. Okay? Epilepsy, or Alzheimer's is definitely low acetylcholine as well, of course, because that's been shown, with acetylcholinesterase inhibitors. Epilepsy is low GABA. We talked about that, the Hoffman-Roach receptor there, that if you haven't got enough inhibition, you get then too much overactivity and not enough brake on it, which is epilepsy. Hemorrhagic stroke is generally, hemorrhagic means you're bleeding, you've had a bleed, and this is usually a breakdown of the collagen in the blood vessel wall, and this is usually due to high homocysteine. So you should be checking out for high homocysteine. Are you all familiar with homocysteine? You should be. You know, it's a derivative between methionine and cysteine, and it inhibits the production of collagen. And collagen and elastin are what holds our blood vessels together and gives the ability to have the elasticity. So if you're getting weak collagen, you will have a bigger danger of hemorrhaging. And you remember the sign that you see that are those little red marks. Okay, so if you see the little red marks on people, worst of all, if you see it on yourself, do something about it. Get a colleague to check you for high homocysteine. The likelihood is those little red marks are aneurysms, which are burst. Okay, they're blood vessels which are bulging and maybe burst and form like a little cyst in there. You can get rid of those by an acupuncture needle and just pop them, which gets rid of them, but you won't solve the cause, okay? Now, we know that homocysteine has to be metabolized onto cysteine and cysteine, and that enzyme that does that is B6 dependent. This is a sure sign of B6 deficiency, okay? So there's a greater risk whenever you've got somebody with high homocysteine and any form of bleeding, think B6. This is when you see the gums. So when you bleed, when you clean your teeth and you bleed, or you use a dental flosser, water jet, and you bleed, you've got B6 deficiency. Right? You need B6 and you need to swill it in the mouth, okay, and get it into your gums. But when you see that, it's a warning. Because if you bleed in your gums and you've got little red spots, you could bleed anywhere. You could just pop. And unfortunately, people do pop sometimes. And they're not necessarily old people who pop. They can be quite young people who, you know, are fit and healthy, and boom, they just have a hemorrhage, usually an aortic aneurysm ruptures. So if you have got a tendency, these are your red people, okay? This is why red people, we have a tendency to cardiovascular disease. Always keep an eye on us. Make sure our B6 is fine. Another symptom of B6 deficiency, which we tend to suffer from, is ulcers. So ulcers in the mouth, ulcers in the stomach, varicose ulcers, any ulcer is a lack of B6. So that might be a lack of pyridoxine 5-phosphate if they've got the polymorphism, or just plain B6. And you remember the main source of B6 for us now is brown rice. Okay, brown rice is the best source of B6. So us reds should have young brown rice a couple of days a week. Okay, so B6 is difficult to get, particularly from wheat, because red people don't get on well with wheat. So it cuts out a lot of the sources of wheat of B6 for us. So hemorrhagic stroke is very common in Japan. Okay, very common, because they eat a refined rice diet. Okay, so they don't get clotting stroke, ischemic stroke, but they have very high hemorrhagic stroke because of the lack of the B6 and high homocysteine. Ischemic stroke means there's a clot, something that's blocked it, usually a thrombosis or an occlusion, and this is due to hardening of the arteries, not by cholesterol. Cholesterol doesn't harden the arteries. We need cholesterol. It's oxidized cholesterol. So oxidized cholesterol is what clogs the artery and the artery wall, and that means we've got cholesterol which has been exposed to reactive oxygen species or free radicals, and you've got to get rid of that. So you've got to need that. You need to get rid of that in the to make it into bile, okay, and pass it out. Now we know to transport it from the cell membrane to the liver, we need various apoproteins, and the major component of this, of the phospholipid that does this, the apoprotein that does this, lipoprotein that does this, is phosphatidylcholine, otherwise known as lecithin. So you need to have lecithin to be able to move that. So phosphatidylcholine is really important there. And as somebody said earlier, phosphatidylcholine is made from soy. I think all phosphatidylcholine now used to be made from good old times. It was made from eggs and made from cow's brains, okay, in the real good old days. But nowadays, of course, with BSE and things, it's made from soy. And soy is disastrous for red people. We are really totally allergic to soy, and so are green people. But beautiful stuff for blue people. So blue people really respond well to soy. They can tolerate it absolutely fine. So they can take the phosphatidylcholine from the soy products. The strange thing is with phosphatidylcholine, it is a pig of a substance. And it's a pig of a substance, so it's actually gelatined in pig pig fat. Okay? All phosphatidylcholine that I'm aware of in capsules is encapsulated in pig gelatin. Okay? Now that may be a problem to certain religions and races. Okay, so just bear that in mind. It is not vegetable gelatin, it's not fish gelatin, it's not even cow gelatin, it's pig gelatin. So you can get loose granules or the liquid, which I think is better to take than the capsules as a result of that. Now, once you've got that oxidized cholesterol and you piggybacked it with the phosphatidylcholine to the liver, it then conjugates that, oxidizes and conjugates it, and makes it into bile. Bile then goes down, stored in the gallbladder, emulsifies fats, but unfortunately, 90% of bile is reabsorbed later on, which is fortunate if you remember the function of bile is to emulsify fats and get rid of parasite eggs and so on. But if you want to get rid of your cholesterol and your other toxins in the bile, you don't want to be reabsorbing it all because they'll go round and round and round. So you need fiber. And the best forms of fiber are insoluble fibers, and they could be wheat bran, but again, no good for reds. So possibly here you might want psyllium husk is better, or oat bran. So oat bran is good, psyllium husk, and if you can get it, rye bran is excellent, but it's difficult in this country to buy rye bran. Probably more likely to get it in Germany or Russia than for us. So people with oxidized cholesterol think lecithin, they should put lecithin on their food each day, and they should take fiber on a regular basis. So, yeah, particularly if you've got these things running in your family. Okay. Right, so there endeth about the physical parts, okay? So I need somebody who has ideally a nice lot of problems. So don't rush. You, right, you volunteered yourself, excellent, yeah, good. We don't want to know what her problems are, though. We'll tell her what her problems are, shall we? Now, when you start right at the beginning, you pop yourself down on your back. Where do we start? We start at the beginning. So, now, shall I take those? Okay. Now, the first thing is here, the light is appalling. So we're going to use you as a model, okay? So don't base everything as fact here, simply on the basis that the light is bad. When you do any work with colours and things, you want to have natural light as much as you can, all right? Or at least use broad spectrum or daylight bulbs. Now, I like to always start off and check the major structure of components.
Take my shoes off.
No, you'll be all right. Why don't you just come down a little bit? Okay. We do wash the sheets after we come to seminar, so don't worry too much. Okay. I like to check because, Andrew, I think it was you saying earlier on, you were testing somebody, and every time you test them, they show to a different colour and this sort of thing. And it's amazing how many structural problems create what we used to call neurological switching. So one moment this, one moment that, and usually what it is the problem with the upper cervicals or the cranium. So what we're going to do is the cross-extensor reflexes. So we'll pull your knee up to your shoulder, okay, and I tap the patellar reflex there and pull up, and she goes weak, which is what she should do, and pull this one up to the left shoulder, and then tap, pull, so she goes weak. So her cross reflexes are working normally. So if I tap this reflex, it mimics this leg going forward in the gait position, which means this one has to become inhibited. So if I muscle test this one, immediately after tapping that, it should go weak. If it doesn't go weak, this is an indication of a mechanical problem. So most likely it's going to be a cranial, which you breathe in, breathe out, and see whether that restores the reflex. And then most of the time it's going to be upper cervical, and then maybe work your way down the spine. Could be manubrial sternum and so on. What you find is that you can have 2 or 3 places, but you must try and clear the structure ideally before you then go into the chemistry. Okay? But she's fine as far as we're concerned. Now, let's test her vitality. Now, her vitality is her life energy that we talked about earlier, and our life energy we can measure as light. Light is a wave. It's the ultimate source of all life in the universe. If we had no light, we'd all die fairly quickly, right? Even plants die pretty quickly. Okay, so by decreasing the light going in, so is your eyes open?
Yes.
Yeah, so open the eyes and close them to make sure that we really diminish the light input through her eyes into her system. And she's holding on strong. So I would say at this time, probably, you know, we need to look at her structure and chemistry before we deal with the emotions. Bear in mind, unless you are really quite a well-advanced person, spiritually and, you know, in many ways, you've probably got an emotional problem, okay? Probably. Yeah. If there's anything at all wrong with you, you've got an emotional problem. But the question is really with this is it subconscious? In other words, is it a program that's running around that you've got no control over at all, it's just a recording, or is it part of your conscious thinking? And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to demonstrate this at this time, is the subconscious mediates through the limbic system. It doesn't mean it's there, but it's holographic, but it comes through. And the sort of regulator or rheostat of these emotions is called the amygdala. And the amygdala is right in the middle of the brain, but the closest we can get to it in therapy localization points is the greater wings of the sphenoid on either side. So we're going to look just behind the gallbladder meridian point there on this flat part here. Okay. So that flat part there is called the greater wings of the sphenoid. And it's no good chucking the two on like that, okay, together. No, chuck the two on, that's it. So let's muscle test you there. Okay, pull. She's nice and strong. That will probably tell us if there's a problem with the sphenoid bone. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to compare the left one to the right. So we're going to put the left on first, and then we're going to put the right on. Pull. Oh dear. And now we'll do the other way around. We'll put the right on, and then we'll put the left on. Okay? And she's nice and strong. So which side is the fault is the one that went weak first of all. So her imbalance is in the left amygdala. Okay? Now the left brain is more to do with the things that have happened. It's the logical side. The right brain is more the intuitive, imaginative type of side. So things that have happened to her in the past are hardwired in, probably more on the left side. Things that could happen to her and that she lives her life thinking, oh, I mustn't do that because of this could happen, or if only this, or whatever, are probably more on the right side. So if you imagine problems more, which maybe haven't actually occurred, but you sort of conjure them up like people do, it's going to be the right to the left. But when it's actual fact, this is why probably 9 out of 10 times you do this, it's left to right. So it's the side that goes weak first of all. Okay? So that's the combination. Now that's the subconscious, which is the memory. If you're going to do the conscious part, in other words, the thinking process, we do the same thing, but we do it on the frontal eminence here, where the orbital frontal notches, orbital frontal lobes are. And this is what they call the executive center, or the decision maker. So pull. And then we do it around the other one, right to left. Okay, so you're comparing the thinking centers. And your thinking centers are not a problem. Okay? It's your non-thinking memory centers. And we have to remember that there's nobody in there. What you think about, 95% of the time, is nothing to do with what you're consciously thinking about. It's association. Everything you see, everything you do, everything you hear of me, flicks up a file. Okay, so I say, Chris. And your brain says, Chris. I used to go out with a boy called Chris. He was a school friend. Oh, school, yeah, school there. We used to have school dinners and blah, 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 blah. And you're all over the place, aren't you? And you think, how the hell did I get to that conclusion? And I was listening to Chris Astill-Smith speaking, and there I was back at junior school, and, you know, and I remember crossing a road. And it's just an association. It's wiring, connecting this to this to this to this, just continuing. It goes on 24/7. If it goes on when we're asleep, it's called a dream. Okay? And the same thing happens with the dream. It's just jumbled up information. Most of it's fact, most of it's we've been there, but it conjures up a story, doesn't it? It takes you from here to here, and in the end you wake up and you think, oh, wow. And you think, nah, that was a load of rubbish. But sometimes it's not a load of rubbish. Sometimes things are put in there symbolically and come through in the sleep at a much higher and deeper level. So what we could say is that what we've got here is an imbalance in the limbic system. Okay? So this means that there must be a meridian out of balance. Okay? So I could say to you now, your primary meridian imbalance, okay? We'll just do it verbally first of all, and then we'll do it with the theory. Your primary meridian imbalance is a yin meridian. That means all the ones on the body there. Your primary meridian imbalance, in other words, the causal problem, is a yang. So probably it's a yin. So let's just put that to sleep now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test your colours. And the first thing you wouldn't do is to test your colours in this room with this light, but I'm going to have to do it, okay, as a demonstration. So, what's your Christian name again?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. So everybody's seen Suzanne. Everybody can see her build. Okay. Do you want to just come and stand? Okay. Okay. Right. What do you think she is? You know, even my children can tell that. My children are getting really good at picking people out now. That's a blue, Dad. That's a green. That's a red. That's a blue, a red blue, and they can get. It doesn't take very long. Look at the build. Look at the hands. Put your hands up there. Okay. Stick your hands up there. Okay. They're short hands, aren't they? They're almost as if they got the end digits missing. Okay, they haven't, but this is a gonad hand, we used to call these. Okay, okay. The general build is smaller, slighter, which is typical blues. So blues tend to come. I don't know whether they come from the east, but you think of an eastern, far eastern person as a classic blue person. All right, thinner build. So you pop yourself down there. So we would be surprised if she weakened to red. She might do. Reds are much more Celtic, big people, aren't they? You know, when you get the red-blue blend, the red gives you the bigness, and the tall gives you the thinness in there. So these people are really tall. You know, 6'2". I had a girl who was just under 6 foot. She was just gone to university last year, and she got a bad back and various things. But I measured her, and she was a blue-red as a girl. And her mother was, and she's got an uncle who was 6'8". 6'8", can you imagine, 6'8"? That's a giant, but not big, okay? These are red blues. Okay, so pull, knee to the shoulder. So she's weakening to red. Now, as I said, don't listen too much here, because she's definitely a blue. There's no question about that as far as your body type, okay? Pull. So she doesn't weaken to green. Now, this is important that you do this right the way through. Don't jump to the conclusion of the first one that she weakens to. Okay, now we do the blue. Pull. Okay, now we go back to the first one that weakens. So we say at the moment she's a red, okay, because she weakens red. Now what we do is we put red over the right eye only, just, that's it. Okay, keep your eyes open. So she weakens to red over the right eye. Pull, pull. So she weakens to red over the left eye. Okay, now what we do is we'll do them individually. Pull, 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 pull. So she's strong to green. And she's strong to green on the right. Okay, good. So say, don't believe any of this because of the yellow light and the lack of it. Okay, so now, this is where we become interesting because she weakens to blue, which is what we suspected, on the left eye. And she's strong to blue on the right. So I think she's blue, red, okay? Although she's weakening to red in this light, and she may outside. So she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. She's a blue masquerading as a red, just so she can go out and eat meat, I think. Because blues are more natural vegetarians, reds are carnivores, okay? So wants to go out. So what she's doing is she's exhibiting the signs more of the red. Did you have any wheat for lunch?
No, but you know I've never ever shown as a blue before.
No, you're only on the one eye, yeah. But her body build is blue, isn't it? It's not red. But she's always showing, and she's said to it as a red. But she's not really a red. She's got red in one eye, but I think she's got, you know, she's really a blue, just simply because of her height and her body build there. But she's got the dimensions this way of a red with the thyroid. So we've therefore got two coordinating glands. We've got the thyroid and we've got the gonads, the ovarian ones.
Has she taken her supplements today?
I don't know. Has she taken any supplements? Does she take any supplements?
I haven't taken anything today other than thyroxine.
Other than thyroxine, there you are. There we are. So she's given us the story, isn't she? Okay. Now, this is really interesting because, you know, yes, reds do need it, but I think, Sharon, you probably agree here, and I've heard this said, and I have no evidence on this, that taking thyroxine doesn't stimulate, our synthetic thyroxine does not convert to T3. So in other words, you build up your T4, but if your problem is actually T3, in other words, you can't convert T4 to T3 inside the mitochondria, synthetic thyroxine apparently doesn't do that. Okay? So that's what I've heard, and I think it's probably true.
It's masking her biochemistry.
Yes, her biochemistry is continuing on an intracellular basis. Deep down in the mitochondria, she's no better at all. She may feel better on the surface and think, oh yeah, it's sped me up in my metabolism. But underneath, we've got to find the real reason, haven't we? So where is the real reason for her problem? It's in her mind. No, it's not in her gonads, it's in her mind. It probably is. It manifests back through the gonads, yes. But really, she's in the thyroid there. So the thyroid is one here, gonads, and the mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the two colours, okay, there, and we're going to pin these two together. So you can use a paper clip, or Julie's supplied me with these. Julie, were these hair grips, did you say? Yeah. Okay, nice hair grips. Okay. Right, so what we do is we pop that over there. Okay. I'm glad I chose someone who wasn't straightforward. Glad you put your hand up. Okay, so you go weak. Okay. Now, in the earlier days, when we first did this 15, 20 years ago, what most people find is that with the colour, it upsets them neurologically, so they close their eyes because they don't want to see the colour because it weakens them. So close your eyes and keep them closed. And the strange thing is, they still weaken. So I thought, it can't be just the cones that they're reacting to. There must be receptors in the skin. So I just moved the acetates up onto the forehead there, okay, and found that the person still weakens there. And then in more recent times, we found that if you put it around the umbilicus, and the umbilicus is an interesting place. I have an obsession about them. You could have an obsession about something, couldn't you? It's my compulsive disorders. Okay, so if you put it around the umbilicus, the effect is actually greater than the eyes. And Candice Pert, who was probably one of the most skeptical people about chakras and these sort of things, is a great chakra person now, because she says that analysis has shown that the number of receptor sites in around the umbilicus and the solar plexus is greater than certain areas even in the brain. Okay, so this is why we feel our emotions so much down here, don't we? We know that if we have certain emotions, you know, we feel them in the solar plexus. So by putting them there, we're talking red and green to her at the same time, red and blue at the same time. Okay, so that's good. So we know that every colour has a complementary colour, and the complementary colour to red is cyan or turquoise, and to the colour to the blue is the yellow-green one. So these are the ones in the set which are called complementary colours. Okay, so when I put the complementary colours on, okay, in the same sequence, red on the right, blue on the left, we should find you at your very best. Okay, so if you're at your very best, that's the time to start therapy localizing. It's taken out all the other riffraff that can cause disturbances. So if I'm going to test you for, say, a toiletry, a cosmetic, a food that you eat, and so on, I would use these, right? So on brain, you know, most of your brains are going, oh, red, blue, what a combination. Don't worry, there's worse combinations. Sam, what was it you said was the worst combination? Blue greens. No, green blues, wasn't it? Or blue greens?
Blue green, that's a nightmare.
Oh, blue green is the nightmare. Okay. So here we've probably got a yin meridian. So we'll start with the liver. Okay. So you're okay on the liver. Okay. So we're going round the beginning and ending points, the yin ones, first of all. If you don't want to do the verbal challenge, you've just got to go around all 14 meridians. It just takes you a little bit longer. So that was the spleen. So we'll do circulation sex. So we will find one meridian which is the cause. Heart. Now, we've got 3 left. Okay, so let's have a sweepstake. How many think she's angry with the lung? There's nobody coming up at all there. They're all putting their weight into the end here. You're right. Okay. Now, how many think she's kidney, which is anxiety and fear? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still only about 6 bets on you there. So how many think it's the governor vessel? Come on, it's the rest of you. That's the last one left. Governor vessel, good. And you were right. Okay. So in terms of the energy pathway, remember this is chi. This is not ATP at this stage. The chi is out of balance, and it's being out of balance. The flow of it is within the governor vessel. Okay, governor vessel. Now, governor vessel is represented by the brain chemical called dopamine. Okay, so governor vessel being, in this case, we're counting it as a yin, means an excess. Okay, so remember what we've got in here. We've got the complementary colors, so she's nice and strong. Okay, pull. So if I put dopamine now on to verify this, so I'm putting the dopamine. Remember, always use where possible the charcoal vials because they don't have alcohol in them. Okay. If you use the old kits, that's fine, but every time you use an old kit, you need to make sure you use the ethanol inhibitor alongside it if you've got a blue person, either blue or partially blue, because they can't tolerate alcohol, all right? So this is why we're making all the kits, as you know, in charcoal. So dopamine weakens, okay? So this verifies the neurochemistry. So it's really quite simple now. What could be the cause biochemically of the imbalance in the dopamine? So we've got too much dopamine, so we're not metabolizing it. And if you remember, the metabolism depends upon monoamine oxidase and upon the other hormone, the other intermediate hormones, which need methylation and conjugation. Okay? So if you go back, if you can go back on that, what you'll see is if you go back to dopamine, when we break dopamine down, we form vanillyl mandelic acid and dihydromandeleic acid. Now, if you get your, have you got one of these? Okay, could we hand, Clive, could you hand these out, the Neurotransmitter Laminates? These are really good fun. I'm sorry I've waited so long before handing them out so you can see them. This is a laminate. I suddenly handed these out in America last year, and they went crazy about this. So why didn't you hand them out at the beginning, Chris? So I've obviously made the same mistake. Okay, so on this one, it's got all how you make your neurotransmitters. And you can't read them very well in the slides, I'm afraid. So here, what we see when you're coming round is you've got dopamine and noradrenaline. And basically, they produce the dihydroxymandelic acid and vanillyl mandelic acid. Okay, these are the derivatives. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if she weakens to dihydroxymandelic acid, the first derivative there. Okay, so if she weakens to that, it means she's got too much of that one. So I'll go to the next one. Okay. So let's go first of all. So you use the neurotransmitter kit just a similar way that you use the hormone one. You're looking to see what strengthens. And in this case, we've got what weakens because we've got a high level of that. So we now go to the next one, the dihydro. Oh, and you don't weaken to dihydro. Have you got the acetates? So you can all see what I'm up to there. Okay, so noradrenaline on here and dopamine are metabolized basically by the same pathway. All right, so look at the one here. We're all on the same page. Okay, so you'll see noradrenaline, and before that is dopamine. So both those are metabolized fundamentally to the same chemicals. So the first one is dihydroxymandelic acid. You with me there? Yeah. Okay, so she weakens to noradrenaline. What does that mean? It means she's got too much of it, doesn't it? Or it weakens to dopamine, sorry. She's got too much dopamine, all right? She does not weaken to dihydroxymandelic acid, right? Okay, that means she's either got normal amounts or a deficiency. So where is the block? the blocks between dopamine and dihydroxy, isn't it? Okay? So in other words, her very first pathway, her monoamine oxidase pathway, is not working very well. All right, you with me? Okay. No? Okay. Okay, to say putting two pictures in there, it's the same metabolic pathway, the metabolism of dopamine and noradrenaline. Okay? So at this stage, we've got possibilities. If we go back to dopamine on there, if we leave that, it could be something that she's toxic. It could be something that she's deficient in, or it could be an allergy. These are the big sort of boys, aren't they, as far as what's wrong with it. And we could do this by doing the eye positions or the substances in the kit. So let's do, first of all, eyes to the left. You keep your heads still, and I'm going to take her eyes 6 times to the left. Now, what does that test for? Toxins. Good, exactly. Well done. So she's okay on toxins. To the left and up. Nutrition. So follow. She's failing. Look what she's doing. Can you see that, Gary? She's not following the finger. She's going up and staying up. Pull. What does that mean? If a person goes in a position and they don't come back down and follow your finger, is they're thinking of something else. They're not concentrating. All right? They've gone up and that subconscious has clicked in and said, oh, what about what we're going to have for supper? And they're not following the finger anymore. Okay? So she was dreaming about something. I don't know what she was dreaming about. So only she can tell us. Okay. So let's do allergy. Okay, we were interested in the major things. So follow the finger. Follow the finger. You're reminded to follow the finger, not to go off on a side here. Okay. So probably it's nothing that she's eating. You can do the other positions. You know, structure, you can do infections and all sorts of things. But it looks as though nutrition is the major thing for her there. Okay? So we're now homing in. Remember here, we're using the neurotransmitters rather than the hormones or the colour. They should all lead to the same result. Okay? So, what are we going to test her with? And the answer really here is we're going to use the composites. And I'm going to go for coenzymes. We'll go for minerals, we'll go for vitamins, and we'll go for the oils. These are the main things to look for. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's do them in some form of order. So yeah, these are composites. Okay, so we're going to test her first of all with vitamins. These are, basically vitamins means an inert vitamin like thiamine, riboflavin, etc. They're all in their citrated form, so they're, if you like, in their best form that they are biologically acceptable for the mitochondria. So in other words, they get it into that citric acid cycle. Pull. So you didn't strengthen to a vitamin. Okay, so now let's do a coenzyme. A coenzyme is an activated vitamin, usually the vitamin Bs. These would be things like pyridoxal 5-phosphate, adenosylcobalamin, methylcobalamin, etc. So we'll see if those strengthen. No, so she's all right there. Now we go for a mineral. Minerals are things like magnesium. Yeah, Yep. Oh, there she is over there. Okay. So minerals. Pull, pull, pull. And she strengthens to minerals. Okay? So that means probably there could be one or more minerals there. So we'll keep that to one side. Then we'll go and do saturated oils, which not many people are deficient in saturates. And then we'll do unsaturated oils. Now these unsaturated oils are the ones that are in the fatty acid kit as unsaturated fatty acids. It doesn't mean it's going to cover all of the fatty acids. It's impossible to do that. And we'll see that you don't show to an unsaturated fatty acid at the moment. Okay, so what we do know is there's a mineral. So let's go to the minerals now. Now I'm going to use the minerals from the box here. This is the next kit that we're doing, which is the minerals in their charcoal. So we do iron first of all, but you can use the minerals in your kits. But remember, with blue people, you must use the alcohol ethanol inhibitor. So she's not blue, iron I mean. Manganese, we mentioned about manganese. Manganese is very important on joints, isn't it? Loose ligaments and things. Silver, are you suffering from a silver deficiency? No. Okay. Magnesium, very common one, magnesium. You know, magnesium deficiency must be pretty common, but not with you.
I've just been on lots of that.
You've been on it, yeah, and you're doing okay. Copper, remember the monoamine oxidase is a copper-dependent enzyme, but that didn't show up. And this was the dark horse we found when we started doing these citrated minerals. The dark horse amongst these was silica. The number of times that silica shows up with people is enormous, particularly on soft tissue, collagen type problems. You just finished silica as well. Okay, so that's good. You've done very well because you don't need any of those now. Okay, but the question is, what does she need? Okay, calcium. Occasionally calcium comes up. Usually, as I said before, calcium seems to come up when there is a respiratory problem with people. So no calcium. Now, Paul, what's that?
Selenium.
Selenium, yeah. Of course, because she's taking T4, but she can't convert it. You'll find this red will disappear. When she takes selenium, she'll no longer be a red. She'll go back to what she truly is, which is a blue, with a touch of red, okay? Okay, potassium. Selenium deficiency must be, you need to go and become an Essex girl. Where do you come from?
Well, I come from originally Surrey, then London, now Cambridge.
Oh, right, you're getting closer towards Essex.
It'd be interesting, Krista, with her strengthening color, with the selenium on her, or just the selenium on her, go and check the acetate again.
Yeah, we will in a minute. Yeah, don't worry. Always been what?
Always tested as a double red.
Always tested as a double red. But you're not. Your body build indicates, yes, you're red, but that's not your biological. Your deep down level is you've never been able to deal with your red. So red has become your dominant part. So everything's related to the thyroid, but more the effect of the thyroid, which is going to be, of course, the conversion of T4 to T3. Oh, sorry. I'm busy going along there. Okay, that was sulfur, chromium, and iodines. Now, we've also introduced, Clive mentioned about this, we've introduced, we love kelp. Kelp shows up sometimes, particularly with red people, as a supplement because it's rich in iodine. But there are some people who the kelp doesn't show, who definitely need iodines. So we've made a nice iodine of potassium and magnesium iodides. Okay, beautiful combination, again, which is citrated. So it often shows up for people who don't show to kelp but need iodine. Okay, and those, of course, are usually people who are low in T4, which is not you. Right? So because you're taking it synthetic. If she removed your thyroxine, then you may need iodine as well. So those the last two are boron. Boron makes your hair grow. Okay, good natural source. Do you remember what good natural source of boron is? Black walnut tincture. Okay, so at the moment you're coming in very much is selenium. So that doesn't surprise me at all. So I'm not going to be happy here until we've done your oil as well. So let's do your oil because of the selenium. Now, what I'm thinking of is with subconscious emotions, there's a cause and there's an effect, or there's a cause and there's an answer. And the answer to the governor vessel, Jill, could I have an ethanol inhibitor that's missing from this kit? Okay, so if we go back to the governor vessel, just take this off at the moment. Okay, governor vessel is a yin. Where do you think with her is the yang solution to her problem? Okay, it's on a meridian, yes. Yeah, Jenny's got it there. It's triple warmer, of course, so go on to there with the other one. So a little bit higher, that's it. So that's where you put your money on. Her problem is, the answer is the thyroid or the triple warmer. Her problem is the conception vessel. She's got high dopamine. High dopamine means she's got high estrogens. Remember I said that? This is her build, but she's got a slow metabolism. So she fits the ticket, 100%. Although, what did you do with it? Oh, here. Okay, so let's go back with the dopamine. Okay, so you can take that one off. You could just use that instead of the dopamine, but we'll do this. Okay, so we keep the selenium there, and because we're going to use your blue, a little bit of used blue at the moment, okay, we're going to use the ethanol inhibitor. So you just put the ethanol inhibitor on, which is just a frequency of ethanol, or the complementary color, and let's do the oils. So you remember the 10 oils? Okay, you know those all off by heart, of course, by now. Okay, so time for another sweepstake. Walnut. Anybody going to put their money on walnut? You get 10 to 1 with this, okay, remember. This is, if you go at the last one, you only get evens on it when you get to 2. So 10 to 1 odds, walnut, no takers, okay. Sensible. They're really cagey, aren't they, with their money? So.
Have I got selenium on at the moment?
No, all you've got is dopamine.
Just dopamine.
And because I'm using the alcohol ones, you've got ethanol inhibitor.
Yeah.
Hemp seed. Anybody hemp seed? No. Okay. You reckon sesame. You're going to save your money to sesame. Okay. Okay, so pumpkin. Lovely. Lovely pumpkin oil. No. Okay. Could be. Olive. Does she look like an olive? No. Okay. All right, we're getting down. One, you've had too much of it. It's always the oils, you have too much. We don't mix the oils enough. This is the trouble. We should put different combinations of oils in our diet. Linseed or flaxseed. Paul? No. So we're halfway there. Okay, we're halfway of the 10. Now the odds are getting down to 4 to 1 now, because the last one is obviously it's going to be there. Grapeseed. Could she be grapeseed? Pull. No. Okay. 3 to 1 the odds are now. Come on, let's get the sweepstake going now. 3 to 1. So the next one is going to be sunflower. Do any of you play the National Lottery? Paul? Okay. It's got to be 2 to 1 now. There's only 3 to go. Okay. So I'm offering you good odds here. It's 2 to 1. Peanut oil. Yeah, there's a few who just lost their money. Okay. Okay. Right. Hazelnuts. Oh, real dark horse there. No. Paul? Oh. Okay, we'll keep that one now. Might be 2. Okay. And sesame, which they all were going to put their money on. Paul, and you cleaned it out. You've taken them for completely. All right. Hazelnut oil, wonderful. Really, really nice. How's your eyes? We find it comes up a lot with people with vision problems.
They're getting, it's only magnifying I need, but it's getting worse.
It's getting worse, yeah. Hazelnut seems to come up with visual problems. Okay, what we don't know now is whether the hazelnut is the one for you, all right? Mm-hmm. It seems to work very well. Let's try it against the dopamine. Let's try it against, we take the dopamine off, just go on to that one. That's it, good. Okay. So let's put the hazelnut. So that works well on that as well. So we've now got a nice bit of information. Okay, so remember the story I said, I'll take everything off at the moment now. Okay, so remember the story, up to 24 you're regenerating faster than you degenerate. From 24 to 27 it's an equal balance. Are you over 27?
Oh,
yes. Yes, okay. Okay, from 27 onwards it's a slippery slope. So taking that into mind, let's say that right now your degeneration is outpacing your regeneration. Yep, sorry about that, okay? Well, you could do it around the other way. Your regeneration, right now, your regeneration is outpacing your degeneration. No. Okay. So what we want to know is if we let's put on the hazelnut oil. And we put the alcohol inhibitor on there as well, just because it's alcohol. Okay. So right now, your degeneration is outpacing your regeneration. No. Your regeneration is outpacing your degeneration. Good. Okay. So let's take it off. Without anything, your degeneration is outpacing. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 minus 1 being just a little bit, and minus 10 being the worst, your scale calibrates at -1, a -2, a -3. So she's probably coming in about -3. So let's put the oil on you. So on a plus scale of rejuvenation, you're coming in at +1, +2, +3, +4, or +5, +6, +7, +8, +9, +10. Okay. It has to be +10, otherwise it means there's another oil, or that's not a good quality oil, right? Okay, if it's not, if it comes in at 7 or 8, there's something better, okay? You've got to go for perfection, which is 10. That doesn't mean she's suddenly going back to a 2-year-old. What it means is that's the one for you to optimize. I'll be happy for you to get to 0. You know, remember, it may take 3 months to get there, but you'll start the ball moving as soon as you start taking the hazelnut oil, okay? Now, what goes with the hazelnut oil in the regeneration program is, of course, going to be selenium, which you've ordered today. So with selenium, your rejuvenation is outpacing your degeneration by, on a scale of 1 + 1 to +10, is +10. Okay? So we now know we've got 2 very important components. Now, how do we come to this conclusion? There are a lot of interest in hormones and maybe brain chemicals that are responsible for the aging process. Most of the people look for, and the emphasis has been on growth hormone. You know, people flog growth hormone promoters, all sorts of things. Have been the sort of common vogue. There was a time when natural progesterones were of interest, and then men weren't so keen on taking progesterones and things, but they wanted the bustle bodybuilding ones and things. And in fact, when you actually test for what the substances are that inhibit the program which I've just done here, the 2 things that will show up that she requires is testosterone, okay, for girls as well as boys. Testosterone builds bone, it builds muscle, it's an anabolic steroid, and this is what aging is a catabolic steroid. And we think it's largely due to a clogging up of the cell membranes, okay? So remember, before she goes on a hazelnut, you're going to go down and touch your toes, or try to, and then after a month, you're going to review and see how much better your flexibility is. All right? And the other one, which is a real dark horse as far as the hormones for rebuilding, and is only just beginning to come into the research field as far as regeneration and things, is probably a heavy-duty hormone, which nobody knows very much about, is prolactin. Okay, prolactin. So those 2 are the main ones that we look for, and we know that there are inhibitors to these, and prolactin-releasing inhibiting hormone is one of those, which is an anti-one, if you like. And we need an anti-testosterone hormone. So when we put those 2 together, these would be indications of degeneration. So let's have a look at the degeneration. So I'm going to put the 2 hormones involved with degeneration on. Let's make sure we've got the prolactin inhibiting releasing hormone. Prolactin releasing inhibiting hormone. Okay, so in the clear there, we're putting those 2 on, which basically confirms that you're in a degenerative state. Okay? And what we're going to do now is we're going to put the hazelnut on, and you'll see that that negates it, because some people don't like the verbal challenge, but they don't mind using the markers for the hormones, and we'll put the selenium on, of course. Okay. Now, what we've got to know is that really all that you need, okay, to regenerate, yeah? And to do that, to find out whether there's anything else that you need, you can temporal tap, you can tap GV20. What we found is quite nice is to put the fingers on the eyes. You close your eyes and just rest your fingertips on the orbits of the eyes, on the eyeballs with the eyes closed, pull, and then press fairly firmly is what you can stand into there. And that's another way of actually testing whether there's anything else that comes up. You could just take the eyes positions up here, and take you back into the nutrition mode there about 5 or 6 times, and if that goes back into weakness, there's something else. So the answer is no, there isn't. Okay? So at the moment, you're coming in really, really well. Okay? So those biochemistry are the 2 things you need, hazelnut and selenium, and they all make sense there, that what will happen, I think, next time we see her, if you weaken to a colour, it'll be blue. Well, I'd almost guarantee it, and not red. I'd be very disappointed if it was red, because the selenium is going to fix your red. The hazelnut is going to get your cell membranes to work much, much better. You're going to get rid of all the old fats and get some new nice fatty acids into your diet, into your regime there. Okay? Now, let's take that off. So it doesn't mean that that's going to work for everybody. You know, somebody else might need zinc or whatever it might be. Okay. So what we know is that it was the governor vessel there. So what are our options for treating her? What we've now got is there's a meridian imbalance, which means that that energy, that life force in you is out of balance. Okay? We know from the works of David Hawkins and others, probably this is associated with the unconscious or subconscious emotions of craving and desire. We don't want to know because it's subconscious, it's in your memory, it's the past. We don't want to know an incident, it's not an incident, it's just as it is. All right? So if the imbalance is within your governor vessel, let's say that the cause of the imbalance in your governor vessel, okay, energy flow, is a subconscious emotion. Now, okay, is an unconscious or conscious negative thinking. Now, okay, is an imbalance in your chi or your life energy. Yes. Okay, so this is the interesting thing, and I'm not going to tell you the answer, okay, is what is the cause of the imbalance of her chi? That's what the question is, what I asked. Or the answer is there's an imbalance in her chi, which is manifesting through the conscious state or the subconscious? And the answer is no. It's manifesting through the mind. Yes, okay. So the mind is a big word, isn't it? We divide it up into conscious and subconscious. So what could it be? What's causing the imbalance in her mind?
It's hardwired in.
Lack of biotin, did you say?
So hardwired in.
Oh, hardwired in.
Past experiences
Yeah.
somewhere along the line.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's something which is creating her imbalance in her energy field, which is then channeling down an imbalance in her governor vessel, which in turn is creating a high level of dopamine, which is increasing her need for selenium and ultimately for the hazelnut oil. So, and we don't know whether she's got any physical problems. She doesn't seem to. But that's the cascade. Okay? So we'll fix her chemistry up quite nicely with the oil and the selenium. 3 months on that. We will put, as I say, with the hazelnut oil, you can take your hand away from that. The hazelnut oil, we'll put the watercress in so we can get the selenium. So she'll only need one product. Do you have a selenium that's open there? If you've got a selenium, no? No selenium at all? All right. Okay, I think, all gone. Okay, I think I got some over here. So what you should be doing now, between yourselves, is just thinking, what could it be that is the imbalance in her vital energy? Is it the person you're sitting next to? Could be, couldn't it? They may be the source. They're sucking you dry. You know, some patients do this, don't they? They come into the room and you think immediately your chi goes down. Okay? So you think, oh, I must get my vital energy sprayer out on theirs and spray the patient and spray myself and spray the room. And even when they've left, you know, they're still draining you. Okay? It doesn't matter about the distance. They can continue to drain you. Even a phone call can drain you. It tunes you in. They phone up. Oh, no. In my case, it's other people who can do that. Right, okay. So immediately you know somebody can ring. They can drain you out. So third-party entities are big drainers, okay? There's no question. And the most common third-party entity we come across are patients. Okay, so it could be a third party. It could be just the collective negativity of everything that's going on. But that's probably not the case because England won the match. So we all feel much more positive. Oh, okay. But on the other hand, if you listen to the news too much, you could get quite depressed. She's not Swedish. Oh, Paul says, have you got any Swedish blood in you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not this is one. She'd like some, but she hasn't got any. No, she's got the wrong hair colour. Okay, so, or it could be from herself. So let's see if the imbalance that she's experiencing in her governor vessel, is due to a collective negativity. In other words, too much listening to the news and reading newspapers. Is due to a third-party entity. Is due to you. You are the creator of your problem. Yes, okay. So, what is the problem? Wow. So let's fix your selenium up while we're thinking about that one. How are we doing time-wise? All right, okay, hold tight there. So we need to know how much selenium. So with that, I can either put on the hormones or the dopamine. We'll go back to the dopamine, shall we? So just to show you this, if I put the bottle of selenium, liquid selenium, on, okay, liquid selenium, that's in the Miron, okay? She doesn't strengthen at all, okay? We know she needs selenium, and we know that's the optimal because the charcoal vase shows. So what we're going to do, remember, empty the pipette, because it might have got full. Nice graduated pipette, lovely. So you should be able to see. Squeeze it, put it into the bottle, let it go. Okay, 1 inch, otherwise known as 10 drops or 0.7 ml. So you can work out exactly, there's 1,300 drops in a 100 ml bottle. Okay, so you can calculate how much a person needs. Very often with most minerals, they need it 3 times a day, with breakfast, lunch and dinner, for 2 weeks, like a loading, a therapeutic pharmaceutical loading dose, and then down to once a day, which is usually breakfast time. Okay, so 1 bottle of 4 squirts 3 times a day will last 2 weeks. 1 bottle of 4 squirts once a day will last 6 weeks, obviously 3 times as long. So 2 bottles will last them 2 months, which should be about the time when you need to see them again. So what we've got now is we've got 1 squirt does absolutely nothing. 2 squirts does nothing. Okay? 3 squirts does nothing. Okay? But 4 squirts, why do I know that? Because everybody shows the same dose. I suppose our diet is university deficient. Okay. So 4 squirts strengthens her. Okay? Now, when does she take this? Let's go and just cross-check now on stomach time. Stomach time is between the umbilicus and the xiphisternum. It's the alarm points we're using now. Stomach time is 8 till 10 in this country in the morning. In the winter, it'll be 7 till 9. Are you all happy with the times when people should take them? Is stomach time is food time, obviously. So she's nice and strong, so that's a good time. And then we will go down to small intestine time, which is just above, you know, you've got the bladder alarm point just above the pubic centers, and just above that is the small intestine. Now, you go weak to that. So always minerals should be taken at meal times, you see. And circulation sex, which is supper time, same thing, all right? Weak. So how many times a day does she take it? Once. And what time? Breakfast, okay? So nice and easy there. And if we do the same thing then with the oil, we don't have the oil itself here at the moment, but I'll guarantee you. So we'll put the hazelnut on here. I'm working against with the dopamine, so let's do the same thing. How much hazelnut does she need? Ideally muscle test, but it's usually 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon, 15 ml. So breakfast? No. You don't want fat or oils at breakfast. You want protein. You're a red, masked with the blue, okay? But you need protein. Lunchtime, 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock, small intestine? No, okay? Why do we take oils at circulation sex time? Because the lipase is secreted. So you're however many spoonfuls. If you've got the oil there, then you can use it and test it. But if in doubt, go for 3 teaspoons. It's very seldom is less than that, because you've got 50 to 55 trillion cells in your body. Every one of those has a cell membrane, and every one of those has organelles, which do the same as the whole body. You have organs of excretion, you have organs of respiration, and so on. And they have different names, but they're all covered in membranes. And each of those membranes has its own phospholipid structure. So the smaller you go down and down and down, you're getting down to this fine level. And oils play a vital role here. Okay? So remember, the big oil, the big cell membrane is the skin. Okay, the biggest skin of the skin of the body is a macrocosm of the microcosm of the individual cell. Do you have any skin problems?
Eczema.
You've got eczema. Okay, so we won't say great for her. It's not the best of news to have eczema. So let's take out, where is your eczema?
Well, I've hardly got any left,
Yeah.
but there's a bit there, tiny bit.
Okay, we'll touch where you've got it. Okay, so she's therapy localizing the dry skin area, and she can rub all the creams and things on that she wants, and that'll all help, be very good on there. But of course, what the real answer to the problem is what? Well, is the oil, is the... every time you see eczema, it's a shortage of fatty acids. It's a shortage, in your case, of the fatty acid, whatever it is, in hazelnut, which is not in anything else. Selenium. Is it going to be selenium? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's holographic. Everything is everything. Okay, so she's deficient in selenium, which is why her skin's like that. If you ask a vet will be able to tell you an animal that's short in selenium. Anybody who's studied the gardens know that plants go yellow with selenium deficiency. Okay, so we should look behind her ears and in various locations and see where she's going yellow. Okay, a gardener or a vet can tell you what's deficient in the soil. We've lost that ability. Okay, anybody who works with nature can tell you that plant is not growing. It's deficient in something. Okay, don't worry too much about bugs and everything else. Let's get it to grow. It hasn't got the right nutrients, hasn't got the right humus and soil. Bugs don't attack organic plants anywhere near as much as inorganic ones. The more artificial fertilizers, Eve Balflower found this 100 years ago with the living soil. She was the founder, really, of the Soil Association. And she found that organically grown plants weren't attacked by aphids and things. And if they did, they recovered much better. But inorganic ones with artificial fertilizers were attracted to the bugs because they knew there was less resistance there, and the plant couldn't overcome it. So really, when you see your cabbages wilting and everything else, feed them, okay? And feed them with Miron water. Give them some real sunlight, some real violet flame. So in her case, we're going to give her the right oil, and that will negate, because it's holographic, the skin, the dryness of the thing. Now, you can use a nice body lotion, you can use the creams and things, and that'll be all right, but the dry skin won't really, on a deep level, won't recover until you get your fatty acids. So next time you come, we'll have a different body. You'll be different fats altogether. Okay, and what you should find is her regeneration will be outpacing her degeneration, her skin will be tidied up, and I'll guarantee you, if she weakens to colour, it'll be blue and not red. Okay, so make a note of all these, and however much her flexibility it'll be vastly increased. But what is the cause of her mind? What is the cause of her mind? So that's where we've got to leave you, I'm afraid. So we know that the cause of your imbalance in your mind, the cause of your imbalance in your meridians is within your mind. Right. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
So, this could be very disturbing because you're going to go home now wondering what it is, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I'm going to tell you what it is that's the problem.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, but I'm not going to tell you the answer, because the answer we'll do at the next seminar. Okay, but I'm going to give you the clue as to what the cause is. Or it's not a clue, there is only one cause. Only one cause. Is it craving and desire? So the cause of your meridian imbalance, the cause of your meridian imbalance or your mind, the imbalance in your mind, is craving and desire. No. So it's manifesting through that meridian. So on a subconscious level, it's craving and desire that's coming out. Anybody hazard any guess as to what the real cause of her is? I'll give you a clue. It's the same with you. It's the same with me. It's the same with everybody. It's the same cause in all of us. And there's only one thing. Is what?
Self-esteem.
Oh, self-esteem. Okay. It's the cause of your meridian imbalance is lack of self-esteem, you mean, really? It's lack of self-esteem. Good try, though. Yeah? Oh, you got your hand up. Oh, yes, Sean. Guilt is guilt. I think he's reflecting his own one there. A good one though, yeah? Fear. You think it's fear. It's fear. Negativity. It's negativity. It's lack of love. Comes in over there. Clue? Okay, want a clue? It's one word. Love? What? Too much love? It's the cause of her imbalance. The cause of your imbalance is love or lack of love. That's what came in over there. Just love is love. What hurt? It's hurt is the cause of your imbalance. Oh, it's lovely being in control here and the answer. Yes, that man over there. Regret. Is regret. You've been watching too many of my videos. You should say grief and regret, you know. Close, that's low dopamine. Oh. What? Ah, well done.
What was it?
Thought. Paul. Smart. Okay. Thought. Yeah. Paul. Now you can ponder for the next couple of months on the answer to that. Okay. It's thought. Thought. No, it's not thinking, and it's not thoughts. Well, let's say it's thoughts. It's thinking. No. It's thought. Interesting, isn't it? That'll give you something to think about on the way home, won't it? Okay. Your mind will really now open up. That's it, yeah. Okay, so what do you think of that? Mind-blowing, isn't it? Yes. Try it with your patients. Don't believe me. But it's the cause of the imbalance in your chi. Remember what I said right at the beginning. 75% of our thinking or our thought process is negative. Okay?
It's a negative thought.
It's a negative thought. It's thought. Yeah, if we could just switch thinking off altogether. What? Oh, you've forgotten your glasses. You throw those away after you've after you got your oil.
I may do, but after.
You said you were only just beginning, and there you are. You're walking around with them all the time. So it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Is there a therapy, like meditation or something, that would actually help?
You can try and work something out over the next few months. Okay? Yeah, there are therapies, of course. But first of all, you've got to answer the question. You know, and this was a question raised to me by a Russian doctor in St. Petersburg a couple of years ago. And he said to me, and you know, I've stored these things up for a few years. He said, Chris, he said, I want to ask you a question. So I said, yeah. And he said, what is a thought? So I didn't like to answer him because I didn't know the answer. And of course you can't answer it because it's a thought. Okay? And remember in the cascade that I showed you right at the beginning, the thought comes first, then you have the feeling of what that's about, and then comes the word to explain it. So there are no words. Your words that we use to explain you would be craving and desire. But those words are only symbols of the emotion. And the symbol of the emotion, or the emotion is a symbol of the thought. But what is the thought? Well, it does, but you'll have to come back. It's like Casino Royale, and you know, to get the answer. That's why they did the Harry Potter film in 2 parts, the last one, you see. So you have to come back to find the answer. But I'm sure you'll find the answer now. I've told you the question. You'll find out what it is. You just have to think about it. Okay?
It's the general communication and I suppose connectedness, which is photons, which is called, what's that thing that was discovered at one time?
Pheromones, are you talking?
Photons, which is
Photons of light.
the actual, not just light, actually, the photons is just, it is that connection between everything and every single other cell.
Yeah, you're getting close. It's sort of along those pathways, but you've got to really think about it. But the best way to think about it and to try and work out the answer is to test it with patients. Yeah. Test it on yourself and play around. And when you come up with a positive answer, you'll know what it is. Okay? And then the next question is, what do you do about it? Okay? And that's really interesting, what you do about it, because there's some great discoveries on what to do about it. Okay? And what to do about it is, the clue is in here. Yeah, it's the violet flame. Okay, yeah. And that's what will surprise you. But we'll do that on the next one.
So the meditation might have.
Meditation is what people see, the violet flame.
You said earlier that when we meditate, we get to that wavelength.
Yeah.
The Meridian.
Yeah, you keep meditating, but whether your patients can meditate and you instruct them, and you meditate until you see the violet flame is a different matter. If they want to see what the violet flame is, you show them through the light bottle, through the bottle. But once you've seen it, then you can always experience it back in you, you can visualize it. You bring it into yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, you're getting it. Okay.
It's
But-
actually connecting, I suppose,
Yeah.
with the higher.
Yeah, connecting with whatever you want to
The
connect to.
light.
Yeah. It's the thought. It's thought.
Connecting to the source, yeah.
The source, yeah. But it's the thought. But what is the thought?
2 gins, you said the source?
2 gins. It's about time, I think. Yeah, we're getting to those. Yes, sure.
The gap between the, kind of agitation is not being actualized.
Yeah. Test it. You know, we'll probably all come up with, 70 different answers, maybe. The answer is to test. If it's the right one, remember, probably words aren't even the right thing to test it with. Because remember, the words are symbols.
It's a
So
thought.
it's
You need to
it's
think.
thought. You need to think about what you're thinking
Yeah.
about, your thought, what it is.
Maybe it's an image of the violet.
Maybe it's an image of the violet flame, yeah. But this is where the violet flame, after when you realize what it is, you'll say, now I know why Chris is so, passionate about the Miron glass. And you'll say, I want to drink that water, I want to spray that, I want to take my nutrients, I want to have my table salt in Miron glass, and I want it irradiated in the sunlight, okay, because it puts that energy into it.
Since we are at the quantum level, could we not cross-check with the chakras to find out, to give us some clearer idea of how that thought
You go away for the
affected
next couple of months and work with them, yes. Yeah. Many more people are coming into looking at the colours of the chakras, and Candice Pert's done a lot of work on that as far as the receptors, and that each area with the chakras have density of different receptors. This is now, from her, she's a pharmacologist, really, but she's coming to the conclusion and studies cellular biology that, yes, there are receptors of more brain chemicals in certain of these chakra and nucleus areas. So it's quite possible that there are areas which are higher in endorphins and higher in enkephalins and so on. Yeah, you can do it. And in Eastern medicine, they've known that the chakras as such have different colours, and those colours reflect the colours of the rainbow. And they go from red at the bottom to violet at the top. And so this is, colour is a wavelength of light. And sound is the frequency of it. So it's interchangeable. Sound and colour are interchangeable by the vibration, and so you can use sound. Sound, I always think, is something more physical, whereas wavelength is more, wave is more of the energy, the quantum's part. But energy remains something which we don't know even what it is. We have no idea what energy is. All we know is we can measure it when we could change it from one form to another. So if you change light to heat or to sound, you can measure it. But there is no way of actually knowing. And no scientist can define what energy is. They don't know what it is. And when you discover what the thought is, you realize that we know nothing. It's simply life, yes?
Light.
Oh, light. Yes, yes.
Energy.
Yes, it depends on how you define light, I suppose, isn't it? Is it as light as this, or is it light of knowledge? Go away. Let's go and try and work on this, the violet. Let's go and ponder on that, and we'll leave. And then those of you who want to do the seminar again can do it in Bristol in the 3rd week of July, which is really late. It's getting into the summer holiday time now. We will be back on the 20th or something around the 21st of September, isn't it? They're all on the website with the update. The update will cover and expand upon things that we've talked about during the year, and some of these things will be things we've covered in previous years, like the digital photography and things. It'll be really good. A lot of good ideas, and there's certainly some expansion work on the gangliosides and the oils and what we've just been talking about with emotions. And then probably, or for sure, our fourth one in the series, the epigenetics one, of the relationships between the mind and the chemistry in the body, will be based around energy production and inflammation and pain. Okay? So these are all subjects that you come across with your patients, but they'll be very different from the old series. You know, obviously the chemistry remains the same, but that link to the mind and through the hormone system and so on is very important and very unique, because this is where you've got to have that knowledge if you're going to teach patients, and you know, they're going to say, you know, why does this work? Why does tapping this hurt? Why does saying an affirmation? Why does, you know, putting the goggles on? I think most of you have seen these. Just to sort of finish off, you know, we know that you weaken to the red on the right, wasn't it, and blue on the left. Is that right? So the simplest way to give us some light therapy would be to put the acetates on, the complementary acetates, which we did, and go outside in the light. And then we did this for a while, and then Clive came up with a brilliant idea. Why don't we put them into glasses? So we will make these for you, or prescribe, and let them know what the combination is. So you've got some already. So, yeah. Oh, you got the wrong combination, have you? Yeah, well, don't trust what I've said. You go outside and get somebody to test, okay? So what you do is you simply wear these. If you've got two colours, then obviously they're the complementary colours. Make sure that you tell them which colours you want for the patient. Either they're weakening colours or the complementary, but make sure they know. And make sure you also say whether it's left or right, okay? Otherwise you end up with a pair of glasses round the wrong way or something, okay? Now you can look at... You go out with these for 15 minutes in the light. Don't look at the sun with them, okay, because that would be far too strong. They're not sunglasses, but they will, you know, in the ordinary light around you, it's fabulous, the light that goes in. Interesting, when you look through them, the two colours merge into one very quickly. So you don't actually notice that you've got two colours. But the kids do. The kids come along, and what are you wearing, Dad? You know, they don't mind wearing odd socks and all other things, but when Dad comes out with different coloured lenses, that's too much. You know, so don't go down that route. Go privately into a corner of your garden or something and wear them. Okay.
If you were treating her now, you know, putting colour into her remedy,
Yeah.
you would put the colour of the thyroid in.
You would use the therapeutic colour with her because it was more what we would say memory showed up there, subconscious. So you'd always use the colour of the therapeutic meridian, which is the triple warmer. So you could say on the surface what her problem really is the triple warmer, because that's the answer to the problem, but the cause of the problem we established was the governor vessel. And all we wanted to know is what was the cause of this imbalance in the first place. So we just simply asked a few questions, and we were all mind blown by the answer. Although we ended up with another question, is what is thought, and what is the thought, and that is the cause of her problem, and yours, and mine, and everybody else's.
But would she know what it is, or would you have to
Of
test
course
it
you
out?
know what it is.
Yeah, she knows, but does she know consciously?
Probably not,
There.
no. But you've mentioned what it is, and she'll muscle test immediately to it. Everybody knows, it's within all of us. But we've shut the door, so we don't think we know the answer, okay? The answer is too mind-blowing, really, to want to know the answer, you know, and to still live here. You know, you just think about it and you'll realise that it's on such a high level that we just really rather shut the door and not go down that route.
Everybody is like that.
And everybody's like, we're called humans and we all have the same problem.
And because we don't still accept that we are part of God, we don't believe that God is actually in us. And yet,
I wonder if it would be really interesting to do that same experiment with animals. I wonder if animals have the thought. Do animals think, you know, at all? Or do they work just instinctively and subconsciously? This is going to be one of the big questions of the next 100 years that people have said, what are the major questions that will be answered over the next 100 years? And one of those answers is that animals have consciousness. And the thing was, the fear was amongst the meat eaters that the whole world could become vegetarian overnight. So, no going out tonight for a steak. What?
You can muscle test an animal's wishes or thoughts.
Yeah, are they subconscious or are they conscious? This is the thing. We must well call it a day here. We're all dispersing, but we're quite happy to go on chatting. Okay, all right, we'll see you in September and October.